How's it going, guys? Sergeant Rod here with a fabulous WCAP wrestler who just gave us an incredible clinic at Paldora High School last night. We're going to ask him some questions. Here we go. Sergeant Johnson.
That's correct.
Tell us about yourself a little bit. Where did you come from? How did you end up in wrestling?
Yeah, so my Sergeant Xavier Johnson, originally from Brooklyn, New York, but I was raised in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Okay. I have a wife and 3 kids. My story on how I started wrestling. So it's a pretty generic story. I missed the bus until my best friend to this day. He saw me in the hall, skinny little kid. He's like, hey, you want to wrestle? I was like, no, I don't want to wrestle. Really don't know anything about it. But I didn't have a ride, and I was going to use him for a ride. Yeah. So I get in there. I'm on the mat without shoes on, and I want to beat the starter, who's now my other best friend. So that's kind of how my story went.
He's saying he's better than you, best friend, right here, since high school. Didn't even have to try. Just kidding.
Just saying.
So you go into high school. What was that like for you?
Okay, so I'm one of them guys. I'm really good on the numbers. So my first year I was 15-10, which is not bad for a freshman. My second year I was 42-8. So I took third in the state of South Carolina. Not big in wrestling, but that was my pride and joy. Gotcha. My junior year I won. I was actually 49-1. Wow. 49-1. I had the flu on my last one. So the guy that beat me out there, like, I want that win back. My senior year I went 42-2, and I took second. Kind of tweaked my ankle a little bit, so I didn't finish that tournament.
So then, highly recruited, I'm guessing, right after high school. So what did you do after high school?
So I did have a few offers from some wrestling schools, but I didn't grow up with a lot of money, so I knew I was going to go straight into the military. So in 2013, I enlisted into the Marine Corps.
Okay. What was that like? What was your experience in the Marine Corps?
So I'm still close with a lot of those guys to this day. So I was on that team. I was actually recruited on the wrestling team. In 2015, I debuted my start on the wrestling team. And that team got disbanded in 2021, which so happened to line up with the end of my contract in the Marine Corps. Okay. And it just so happened that I had the accolades, like 2021 an American champion, 2020 national team member, so I was able to come on WCAP.
So you just transferred over? How did that whole process work for you?
So I did have to go back through AIT, which is your job training, and I went straight to the wrestling team.
What's your actual job in the Army?
My job is 88 Mike, which is motor transportation operator. So I drive the big trucks. I do this big joke like I'm like G.I. Joe when I'm on it. I go to these camps.
Being that you're a WCAP wrestler, how much time do you spend behind doing your MOS?
So at WCAP, we do try to stay competitive in our job fields. We try to tailor our jobs with a billet that's on a team. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's hard because if you're like me, you're a driver, you're not going to always have a truck at your disposal. Yeah. So we do go to various schools like the BLCs, trying to stay competitive in our job fields.
You being an 88 Mike, you doing WCAP, from the Marine Corps, did you transfer over to the Army to help you boost yourself into your position now?
So I was saying, I think anyone that knew me before the Marine Corps would tell you, like, I already had these kind of traits, so I kind of fit right into the Marine Corps culture. I'm coachable, I'm teachable, I love to work hard, and that's just about any wrestler that you're going to encounter. So I kind of fit right in with the Marine Corps aspect. And I actually did carry that on with the Army. The cool thing about the Army, I always tell people, is they allow me to grow into a critical thinker.
You feel like in the Army you were just allowed to have more creativity, more control of your thought process?
That's correct. Okay. So in the Marine Corps, I was really good at I was a guy. I was always gonna volunteer first, and I'm gonna do as I told. But when I came in the Army, it was more like, what would you want to do, Sergeant Johnson? What would you do in this circumstance? And that allowed me to grow as a leader.
What's the difference in training from the Marine Corps wrestling to the Army?
Well, that team, I was on that team when we weren't as good, and I was on that team where we actually won the first Armed Forces Championships in the last 20 years. Uh-huh. So the cool thing about that team was, like, we saw everybody grow up on that team, whereas on the Army, it's dogs in that room. We have Olympians, past Olympians, including our coach. So when you come in that room, you have to put your best foot forward, or you know you're not going to get outclassed.
So training with the Army team, who is like the one person in the mats that you're like, I'm going to train even harder against them?
Well, me personally, I would say one of my training partners named Dalton Roberts. He's actually in Turkey right now trying to qualify the 60-kilogram weight class for the Olympics, so trying to get his quota. And he just has this determination about him that, you feel like it's a disgrace to him if you don't bring your best foot forward. So I always try to equivalent myself to him.
You have someone on the mat that you can always compete with, so it's not like you're going to go, I'm going to go do some warm-ups, some stretches. What mentality do you have when you're on the mat?
My mindset is going to be pretty generic because everybody says, but I really believe in this, leave it all on the mat. Like, I look at it like, you know what, this is a privilege that the Army is allowing me to wrestle, and I have to go in there and pretty much earn my keep. So when I go on the mat, I'm going like, this is my last tournament, my last match, and I'm going to go with that.
Leave it all on the mat. What is your signature shoe?
I'm a big Tawa guy. I like the Nikes. I like the Nike Inflex, but the new age, the Tawas is the go.
So, being a WCAP wrestler, are you guys allowed to be individually sponsored?
So we can't do it individually, but it is an inclusive thing. So if Nike, perhaps, let's say Nike wanted to sponsor the individual, it could sponsor the team. So not just, I want to sponsor Sergeant Johnson, I'll sponsor the WCAP wrestling team.
You guys get pretty nice swag.
Oh, we definitely get the nice swag. I prefer the Army swag, me personally, because I've been in the Army for a little while now, but we do get pretty nice swag.
Do they personalize the uniform on you guys, like Sergeant Johnson?
We try to keep it based on just WCAP or just U.S. Army, just because at the end of the day, I'm not representing just Sergeant Johnson, I'm representing the U.S. Army as a whole.
I love that mentality, so you're very selfless with your team. How do you deal with losses?
So I'll tell you, like everyone else is going to tell you, like losses don't stop. Even though the greatest wrestlers, they still lose to this day if they're competing. So the best thing you can do for your future is learn how to take those losses, learn from them. I'm a big guy. I think I learn the most when I lose because on your best day, you don't need training, right? My coach has this saying, you can beat anybody on your best day is how you take the losses. So a good phrase I like to use, a man should be measured how well he can take his losses, not necessarily his wins.
Absolutely. I like that. I really do like that. Your coach sounds like he reads a lot of philosophy. Is he just in the back pulling out books or what?
I don't know. He's just, every now and then he'll drop a gem on you and then leave. And
Who's the WCAP coach for you?
So right now we have Coach Sergeant First Class Mango.
Sergeant First Class Mango?
That's correct.
He was a prior WCAP wrestler.
That's correct. Two-time Olympian.
Two-time Olympian.
Yeah.
Most of y'all will go from wrestling to coaching within the
correct.
But you're actually interested in a different career field.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do after WCAP?
So I love the Army. I love the military aspect as a whole, so I plan on being a recruiter like yourself.
That's very noble of you, Sergeant Johnson. You wanting to do recruiting. I'll give you this. I think you have the energy for it. I think you're going to do really great. If you see Sergeant Johnson in your neighborhood, in your area, go talk to him. If not, he's going to dump you on your head.
That's right.
So maybe I'll show you some wrestling moves. But what's the one place the Army has taken you that you like, oh my God, I can't believe I get to go here?
Well, I would say Croatia, and I actually went there not too long ago. I like Croatia just because the sights, the water's blue, the food is amazing, the people are so nice and stuff like that. So I would have to say Croatia, Zagreb to be exact.
What did you do in that tournament?
So that was a training camp for the
Oh,
Olympic
training camp.
qualifier. Yeah.
Oh.
So we get to see. It's funny because you get to see the guys who are you seeing on TV on NBC, like, oh, that guy took a Olympic medal there, and you try to humble yourself because you know at that point if you're at that camp, then you can be that guy as well.
So you're going into it with like, Tom Brady's my quarterback.
That's right.
One piece of advice you'd give anybody out there that is interested in the Army or wrestling?
What I would say is be open to different opportunities. A lot of people already have a path before they even join the Army, but I would say just take whatever's there. A lot of people have the best time where they don't want to go to that specific region or location.
Yeah, absolutely. So traveling, I went to Korea, guys. Everybody hated on Korea ever since I was in the Army. That was like the one place nobody wanted to be to. I'm trying to go back to Korea. I miss it. I love it. You save $1,600 for the flight, go to Korea. I'm telling you, go to Korea. They speak enough English for you to get around. And Google Translate is the best.
Google Translate, that's right.
Diet. What's your diet look like? What kind of supplements you like taking for yourself?
So I'll break it down. So off season, I'm kind of irresponsible. I like having fun as well. I like my cookies and stuff, and I do have 3 kids, so I can't let them be too strict on them. But in season, I'm a chicken guy. I like chicken, brown rice. I'll do white rice, sweet potatoes. Typically, when I'm in season, I have a tournament coming up. My last meal of the day is at 6:30.
Okay.
6:30 is dinner.
You have a time scale.
Oh, yeah.
Why is it?
Well, I've been wrestling for so long. I've did it wrong so many times. So eventually, you start to narrow down. Like, okay, my last meal was at 8 o'clock. I felt kind of groggy waking up. So 6 o'clock. Then I tried 5 o'clock when I was really hungry when it's time for me to do breakfast. So I try to do 6:30 is kind of the cutoff for me. And typically, a breakfast before a competition would be like eggs, like 2 eggs and turkey bacon.
Yeah. Sergeant Johnson, what do you currently weigh?
So right now I'm currently about 155.
Where do you wrestle at?
I wrestle at 138.
That's a 20-pound cut.
That's correct.
How do you do that?
Well, here at WCAP we have amazing nutritionists. The most efficient way to cut weight, or I guess make your weight if you're going to be a little heavier like myself, is start early. Don't be the guy that's going to wait 2 weeks out and then just drive yourself into the sauna, because you're not going to be productive even if you make that weight. So what I would do is get with a knowledgeable nutritionist and then start from there.
Yeah, and every Army base in the nation has a nutritionist and a dietitianist that will help you lose weight. So if you are in the Army and you have these questions, they are the same nutritionists and dietitians that they use. They follow the same rules. They follow the H2F programs. So if they're using them and they're going to the Olympics, you guys can too. Who has the best wrestling team in the nation?
Easily said, U.S. Army, 100%. You can look at, we can argue it all day, but statistics won't lie.
Who won the last Armed Forces wrestling tournament?
U.S. Army, baby. All day, every day.
Johnson's about to be a part of the infamous, infamous, whatever you want to say it, wall. You heard it here, guys. Army best wrestling program in the nation, Armed Forces Cup champions. We are here with Sergeant Johnson, and we are out.